I'm going to first read Psalm 34. The eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears attentive to their cry. But the face of the Lord is against those who do evil, to blot out their name from the earth. The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from their troubles. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. The righteous person may have many troubles, but the Lord delivers him from them all. He protects all his bones, not one of them will be broken. Evil will slay the wicked. The foes of the righteous will be condemned. The Lord will rescue his servants, and no one who takes refuge in him will be condemned. So I know that every message and everything anymore, especially in church, feels like all we have to talk about is hope, and all that we have is hope. We're all wishing for deliverance from this world, from its darkness, from its brokenness, from its evils. We're all praying for it. We're all hoping a lot more than we used to. We're all hoping for change, hoping for salvation. Hope is all we have. At times, it's all we have. Hope and a whole lot of praying, a whole lot of prayers. So let's continue that thread of hope, because it is and always has been the one who provides. Hope is what Abraham had on the mountain as he climbed. He had faith and hope in God's faithfulness. God promised him many nations would come from his lineage, and God gifted him with one son. While he was at a very old age, he had a son. So Abraham, he may have felt he wouldn't have another son if he sacrificed Isaac because of his old age. But he still remained faithful, having hope in God's promise and his ultimate plan. He had more hope in God than he did in the idea of the promise. Sorry, I'm trying to find where I was. He believed God would provide. If not Isaac, he'd give him another son, because he knew God to be faithful. And that gave him hope. He was faithful. Only moments before he gave up Isaac before God, God saw him faithful and provided a ram. God had hope in Abraham's line because of this faithfulness in this moment. And I know it may feel like you can shoehorn any of the main three components of our faith in there, that being faith, hope, and love. It largely will lead to the same conclusion, which is true. I could say love, I could say faith, but they all lead to different things. Love is continued faith. Hope is future faith and love. The promise is what hope is. And faith is for current means. Faith is for right now. Trust. Faith is for now and for trust in the past. And hope is for the future. Hope is for what tomorrow has in store. We have hope for the coming of the Lamb. We have hope for God to do as he did and as he will do and as he's done, and provide. Because we are not enough. The cross is evidence. And continue on hope. Today is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to the mothers. There is no greater hope than that of motherhood. Even though the punishment of childbirth is very painful, a mother's love can change the world. If not for Naomi's love for her daughter-in-law and the desire for her to have children, we wouldn't have David. And if not for David, there would be no Jesus. A mother's love can oftentimes be like that of God's, cutting through all the darkness and all the darkest moments. A mother's love is like God's in that it can be unapologetic, seemingly reckless, and even sacrificial. A true mother will love their child even in darkness. A mother's dedication to simply being better because that is what's required is impressive. My own mother is a shining example of a mother's love. Newly single, 2 small kids, and me on the way. And instead of allowing herself to be stagnant, letting her children be victims of her situation, she knew she had to be better. She had to make a change. So she went to school at night. It took a while, but through her faith and blind love for a good life, she did it. A college graduate, and she kept the boat afloat. Even when it was paycheck to paycheck, she did it. She suffered many shortcomings, but she kept her hope high. Love was never short in our family, but neither were the arguments. Everyone's family argues. She acts like no one's family argues sometimes. But in the end, love is what mattered. She provided, and we all made it through high school. My brother, a college graduate with a master's. My sister, a loving mother of two with a beautiful little family. And me, an aspiring preacher. And in all of this life I've spent so much time observing and watching and learning. The greatest thing I've learned is that hope is powerful. Having hope in God's promise is true strength. Have faith that God will lift you out of the pits, and He will. Have faith that you will soon thrive, and you will. Have faith in the crop to be a plentiful harvest, and it will be. Have faith in the uncertainty. God will take care of tomorrow. Just get through today. Have hope in that each day will be better, and it will. Like Job, remain faithful in the promise of tomorrow, and he will return twofold. So it is our duty, our mission to fill that dedication, that parental love gifted to us on the cross, gifted to us at birth. Even if mom and dad weren't the best, Jesus was there guiding them. Even if you didn't feel like it, He was there. Guiding you even. Getting through all the shortcomings, all the problems. Now we might ask, what of the parents who don't care for their children? What of them? They were merely the means for that child to be graced upon this earth. If it is our duty, our responsibility as Christians to be brothers, sisters, mothers, and fathers for any child that needs it. Be a brother to your fellow Christian. Be a mother to your fellow Christian. Give them guidance. Give them a path. Even if they have a stable family, even if they will never not need guidance, it takes a village. If any church is lacking in being a true family, that church is better not to exist. The purpose of any church is to be the salt Jesus spoke of, and He called us and its church and His church to be. If a church is just a point to look at in a town, to know where you are, it's lacking. I've got some bad dry mouth. I apologize. If a church is not actively changing its community it's serving, is it fulfilling its mission? If we are not being movers and shakers, if we are not going after the one, are we doing enough? If we are not making our church less of a destination for Sundays and it's more a place of refuge. There's a reason this room we're in is called a sanctuary. It's meant to be a safe place, a place for each of us to find safety from the world and its darkness and find the light of Jesus amongst one another. And we being the body, moving for one purpose, or are we just dancing in circles? Are we not listening to the head and doing as it says? Are we not transforming our community as He said for us to? He said, go out and be salt. Go out and make disciples. Give hope to the hopeless. Give reason to them. Tell them of what God has done. What God is doing and what He will do. Be the family to the one left alone in their darkness. Be the one to remind them of God's plan, to show them hope, show them that there's a future for them, that God is not done yet. If we are to be as our mothers were to us, as our eternal Father was to us, we could change the world for a moment or two. We would finally feel purpose, that ever-escaping thing. I want to say, also, not everybody's called to be a comforter. Not everybody's called to be somebody's pillow to rest their head on and listen to. And if you're not called for that, there's a mission for you still. Presence. Many people just need a presence. Many people need somebody to just be there. You don't have to listen. You don't have to give guidance. Just be present. It's a gift for many because they feel unseen. So many people feel as though they've been cast invisible because so many people are ego-filled and see anyone struggling as less than them. You know, I used to think that respect wasn't the most important thing to me because I felt as though there were so many other things to worry about. Whether someone respected me or not didn't matter. But now that I've lived a little more and gone through times of uncertainty and times where respect had become almost non-existent, I've now realized that respect is one of the few things outside of the three words of our faith that matters most to me. Respect is the foundation of a good place and a bad one. If a church doesn't respect Jesus or itself, it's bound to wither away and die. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. John 15:2. If you have to let go of something to build a new foundation, so it must be. Because in the end, if it's not all about the will of the church, the will of the church is not about God's will, and if it's not about building on the foundation of respect for God, then you're building on sand and are bound to be consumed by the same sand. Also, remember this, for God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. John 3:17. God saved the world through his own sacrifice. He laid down his life willingly for us. We are not condemned to death for our transgressions. We can admit we failed. We can say that we were maybe misguided or even failed our community at times. And that's why Jesus came to this world. Not to condemn the world, but to save the world from itself. I've failed myself. I've failed my community many times in pursuit of self-satisfaction. I've gone to try and force my own will into my life, and it's led to charred soil, leaving nowhere to grow, only to room for wither and die. Many suffer that same fate, but if not for God's hope instilled within me, I may have suffered that same fate. I may have lost. But God gave me a wonderful family, a family that saw my pain and endured it with me. Just as Jesus would, carrying me in the darkness, holding me when I had nothing. He holds each and every one of us just the same. He will get you through it. The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their troubles. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. But the Lord delivers them from all. Psalms 34:17-19. He has told us from the beginning. He is our hope. He is our peace. He has watched over us. He has protected us and comforted us from the start. God has redeemed us. God has given us love. God has given us a family through his church body. God has provided all our lives. He has protected our mothers and fathers so that we would be here. He has given us compassion from the start. We have hope. We have hope. We have a promise he made through John. We have hope in his name. We have hope in his second coming. We have hope in his redemption of each and every one of us. Let's have hope and appreciation for that. And for our mothers, fathers, brothers, and sisters he gifted us through this church. How many of us will have never known each other if not for this church? How many of us would not have made lifelong friends if not for this church? How many of us would have not been born because of this church? How many of us would not found our spouses because of this church? How many of us wouldn't have children because of this church? If you have no hope in anything else I've said, have hope in that. Have hope in what he has done, what he has proven himself to be. Allow him to be your friend. Allow him to be your guide. If you allow him to do so, even through the darkness, even when we felt like nothing is left, he saved us with nothing but hope.